Are you moving to Halifax, Nova Scotia? Here's what you'll need to survive. First of all, winters can be really harsh, so you're going to need an umbrella, rain boots, jackets, and also you're going to need a backup umbrella, because if you don't bring that backup umbrella, what's going to happen is you're walking outside, you're in the wind, and then it explodes. The wind can be really bad here in Halifax, especially when we have windstorms and rain, so you may want to get 2 umbrellas for that case. Another thing you're going to need to survive is you're going to need to stock up on groceries, because if we have storms sometimes, I'm making it sound like it's a crazy monsoon hurricane place. It's not, but we do have storms, so you have to always take that into account. Another thing, when you're moving to Halifax, we have something called storm chips. They're chips, or crisps if you're from England, and they put all these different flavors in it. So you have like sour cream and onion, and like salt and vinegar and barbecue, and they just mix them all, shablam them together, and that's a really good thing. So if you find storm chips, you gotta get storm chips. Another thing you need to know in Halifax is crossing the street. There's gonna be a lot of cars because the roads are pretty thin, cars build up, but they will always stop for you. You should always look both ways so that you don't get hit by a car, because there have been lots of people hit by cars because pedestrians are silly here. But at the same time, people are going to be very friendly, and to survive, you're going to want to look both ways at least. So although you get used to crossing the street because people are kind to you, and they're not as kind in Europe in terms of crossing the street as they are here, you can just be happy and be careful so you don't get hit by a car. Another thing you're going to need to survive here in Halifax is you're going to need to come out of your comfort zone and meet people when the weather is warm. And it sounds pretty silly. I mean, you can technically meet people all year. I do it all year. Everyone does it all year. But if you want to have friends who are going to keep you happy, and you care about your health, and you want to raise your mood, then you need to make friends the second you get here, because it is harder in the winter. People don't go outside as much. And maybe if you go clubbing or you go outside, you can meet more people. But if you want a close, tight-knit group of friends, I recommend when the weather is warm and there's all these events going on outside, you go to as many of them as possible, because that network is going to help you in this city. It's small, it's tight-knit, and people are going to make your experience great. That's the biggest thing about Halifax, it is the people. If you can get involved in it, if you can fit and mesh with Halifax and just the diversity that makes up this city, then it's really going to help you. There's some other things you need depending on where you're coming from. So if you're a student, you're going to need all of your materials. I have already made a video about breakdown of tuition fees, and I'll just head on over to figure out what the video is called so it can help you, and I can also link it in the description below. But it is called Dalhousie University Tuition Costs for International Students, and it gives you a tuition calculator and a rough overview of what tuition costs for one of the most expensive programs in Halifax, so you can kind of work your way down there and figure out how to do it. So you're also going to need a place to live, of course, because we all need to live somewhere. I recommend before you get to the city that you either rent an Airbnb and then start looking around the city, or you rent a hotel and you actually look at the places inside. Halifax is not a place, well, I don't recommend doing this anywhere, but especially not a place to just randomly pick your apartment or living situation and pay online. I recommend you get here first. There are so many different accommodations for different people because there are so many students in this city, so you really don't want to be stuck in with an accommodation you don't like. I recommend you get here, you rent a place, and you get a hotel for a couple nights, and then you look at places before you actually rent them. So set up a plan. You're going to need that food, you're going to need that equipment, you're going to need a place to stay for the first couple of days to look around. Come here for a visit, plan a visit, and stay here for at least 3 or 4 days. If you can stay here for a week, that's going to give you a really good perspective of what the city is like, because you'll be able to see the whole thing. It's not very big. So that's my advice to you. Those are some things you're going to need when moving to Halifax. I have tons of videos about moving to this city, so subscribe and turn on my notifications if that's important to you right now. If that ever changes and you don't want to come to Halifax, you can turn that off, but be sure you drop me that subscription. And you stay tuned with these updates, because they're going to help you moving to the city. No one else was making content about it, so I thought I'd help. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you later.